The Abyss is this is I could pretend I could do the whole thing that everyone else is doing and be like, oh my god, The Abyss got re-released and it got cleaned up, and this is like the James Cameron director's cut. It was released in theaters, and then thank God it's available now for home purchase, and hasn't been for long. It's been really hard to bullshit. I never saw this. I'm sorry. This is Oscar shame time. I'm able to use this twofold because not only was this film released theatrically in December, to highlight the fact that James went back and restored and made his visual effects look better, and also recut the film in a way that he liked, which means longer. We all know what that means. It never means shorter, you know? It's, it never means shorter. Like I hear there's a 4-hour cut of Napoleon that Ridley Scott is just dying to show us. Um, so yeah, um, it's got it has audio description, which is great, which is the huge thing here. Jedediah Barton and the team at Deluxe, fantastic work, especially in terms of describing the visual effects here, which is what this won the Academy Award for, was visual effects. And also, interestingly, was nominated for a couple other awards like cinematography and sound. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there are a couple other things happening here in this film, but it is an Oscar winner for visual effects. Shocking, I know, a James Cameron film. It's funny, though, that he was unhappy with it and felt like he needed to go back and fix it, but it was also an Oscar winner. I just, like, hot take. Like, how... what kind of an ego? Like, it's still not good enough. We gave you an Oscar. It's not good. It could be better. I must go back and finish this. Dude, you won the Oscar for vision. Yeah. So, but it is restored and it sounds better. And the funny thing is, this came out about the same time as another film that I just reviewed from the same time period, Mississippi Burning. Did you watch that review? What did I complain about? I complained that it had not been preserved and the audio tracks sounded atrocious. This sounds like it was made yesterday. This is what happens when you go through film preservation and restoration and actually treat a film like it matters. I don't know what they're doing to the original print of Mississippi Burning, but is burning. Uh, it sounds awful. This sounds fantastic. James Cameron's restoration is clearly working. Um, I can't comment on the improvement, obviously, in visual effects because I didn't see it the first time around, and now I'm blind. So, you know, I'm the kind of critic that James Cameron just would hate. He would punch me in the face and just walk away. I'm sure he'd be like, "I am a visual director." I'd be like, "Dude, you actually have stories that you tell in your films with actors and characters." I love True Lies. Like, I'm just gonna just come out and say that. The one film that I've always wanted him to, if he ever does a legacy sequel, please do True Lies. Like, I don't even know what that would look like now because it's been so long, but I've wanted a sequel to True Lies like my whole life. Um, I wanted the T2 for True Lies. I don't know. I have no idea what that would look like, but if James Cameron was actually directing it and not someone else, I'm sure it'd be amazing. The Abyss tells its whole story. It doesn't really need a sequel. We don't need The Abyss 2. Return to the Abyss. None of that needs to ever happen. Ed Harris is very predictably Ed Harris here. Mary Elizabeth Mastro-Antonio, her career, she was hot for like a minute. I don't mean like physically, I just mean like there was a moment in time where she was big and got roles, and then I honestly have no idea what she's doing anymore. Or at what point her career even dropped off. She just seemed to kind of disappear. At one point, I remember asking myself, when did Julia Ormond go? And then later on, Julia Ormond pops back up and starts acting again. I'm like, oh, there you are. You're on a Lifetime TV series. What are you doing? Anyway, and then Michael Biehn is here. So this is I conceptually listen, the audio description is fire. I loved the description of the I'm gonna say alien. Okay, there's an alien in this. All right, this film is from the 80s. So even I knew there was an alien in this film, and I hadn't even seen the damn thing. So going into this, okay, so yeah, so the way that the alien is portrayed in this, the visual effects and everything that he used for this, he ended up using and recreating and bringing that into T2. There's a lot of stuff that predates T2, but you can see we're about to use it in T2, the another more groundbreaking visual effects. So a lot of the same ideas are used here, and they're described really well. One of the things I didn't understand was conceptually, and it might just be because I'm stupid. I opened that up. I opened up that door. Hashtag subscribe to the person who admits they're stupid on YouTube. I don't understand how an oil rig works. Apparently, I was thinking. So the film starts off at an oil rig, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, and they have like some sort of a submersible also. But when I hear oil rig, I think of I was able to see for a while, if you're new to the channel. I think of films like Deepwater Horizon and Armageddon, and I think of those structures, right? And I think those structures to me feel rooted in their place. Like you can't just hook them up to a device and drag them across the ocean to where you need them to be as easily as they do in this film. I'm sure they're movable, but not like, well, we're moving, which is kind of how that happens in the abyss. Maybe that's true, and maybe I've just misunderstood oil rigs the whole time, but that was the one thing that threw me was I was like, conceptually, I got what the audio description was trying to tell me, but I kept picturing like that giant oil rig, either from Deepwater Horizon or Armageddon, where they have like rooms and cots, and it's all like above, and they have all this crap that's above sea level, you know? It's this like huge facility that's just like posted out in the middle of the ocean. And I would assume that that was always more secure because, storms. Uh, nobody wants to be on that shit in the storm. And you want it to be secure so the storm doesn't come along, and every time there's a storm, you're like, well, we lost our oil rig. Down again. We gotta build another. Yeah, so I don't know. I just conceptually need to understand oil rigs better for this movie to work for me fully. Um, Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of funny. There's so many concepts and ideas here where I was laughing at some things because I was like, okay, we just saw this. Like the whole like, okay, so we go like Meg to the trench, right? We talked about how we all laughed about the silliness of walking around on the bottom of the ocean in that film, and then in this film, he's got to walk down to, they got to go down to the bottom and get this submarine. Um, so I was like, oh, this is the Meg, but this came first. So this gets bragging rights for going there first. And I was thinking about the oil rig thing, and I was like, oh, of course we need the oil riggers to save the world. Like in Armageddon. Wait a minute. Armageddon was after this. So I just kept thinking of films that probably ripped off The Abyss, and I just didn't even know ripped off The Abyss. Um, and that was kind of like a side quest for me. Was fun. Was just like picking out these things and just being like, we did this in another film recently. Oh, but The Abyss did it first. Yeah, so it's a fun film. There's a scene that telegraphs way too early. There's a scene where like I could feel James, and like his like part of him was like excited about what he had come up with, but then the other part of him was like, there's no way to explain this without doing it in the dumbest way possible. And so in the most revealing way, like, are you paying attention? This is going to be important later. This is, hello, McFly. You need to be paying attention in this scene. There's a scene where they explain that they have this liquid oxygen, where they fill your lungs with liquid oxygen, which allows you to breathe underwater. And he goes through this whole demonstration, and of course there's this rat, right? That one of them has like a pet rat, and they do it on this pet rat, and it's like this whole big thing, and you're like, oh, well, this is gonna become a fucking thing later. I mean, there's no way we're going through all of this and watching, like, demonstrating this on a rat for this to never be used again. I would actually have had more respect if they had never used it again. If they were like, where is that liquid oxygen? I don't know. We lost it. Damn it. It seemed so useful at the time. um, yeah, but of course they need it later on. Shocking, I know. But it was the weirdest telegraph I think I've ever seen in a James Cameron movie. It would be like if we were about to watch Titanic, and you just saw like two dock workers like leaning on the side of the Titanic, and they're like, I know it looks like it's a strong ship, but what you really don't know is how thin the metal is here. It's actually quite thin. Should it, happen to hit something like perhaps an iceberg, it might crack itself open. um so yeah, it felt like a giant foretelling moment, foreshadowing. I was like, thanks for this foreshadowing moment in the abyss that I'm sure was unavoidable, because when when you need it, otherwise it just seems like you created something for the moment. If he hadn't have done that and hadn't established that it existed, then when he does need it in the film and somebody runs up and he's like, I've got this, I've got liquid oxygen, what is it? Well, liquid oxygen, just trust me, I've done it before, just put it in, and it would seem like he just like MacGyvered something into the film to work. And but also at the same time, when the scene was happening, I was like, I feel you. I feel like I know that you needed this, but there had to be a better way to do this. This is the least interesting way to do this. Um, there's foreshadowing, and then there's like beating me on the head with foreshadowing, and that was beating me on the head with foreshadowing. So, um, but generally, I enjoyed the Abyss. Is it James Cameron's best? The guy that directed Titanic, Terminator 2, True Lies, which I already like told you was like my favorite. Uh, yeah, Aliens, and obviously the first Terminator, Avatar. I don't know. Dude's got a lot of films, so you're gonna have to figure out which one is your favorite. But for me, it's this is not. Um, it might be like his underrated effort too. Like looking at his resume, like as I'm saying the names out loud, I can kind of see how this could be construed as being like his lesser work, because all the others just seem like they're such massive efforts. But the only reason why this is lesser is because he actually told like a contained story that didn't need a sequel. We didn't need to make the Abyssier, the Abysses, nothing like that. Just all in one, rolled into one. Um, there's a lot of things here to explore. And he explores a lot of great ideas with the aliens, and he has a lot of thoughts. And of course, James loves the ocean. He loves going underwater and exploring that. And how many times has he gone underwater? There are a lot of, if you're really deeply interested in the Abyss, look up what the film shoot was like and the people who worked on it, and why people like Ed Harris and them have never worked with James Cameron again after this. Um, wasn't a fun shoot for a lot of people. So yeah, this is sort of a legendary film for many reasons, but I'm glad I finally got to see it, and the restoration is on point. And it's so hilarious to look at this and to see that this came out like a year after Mississippi Burning, and it sounds like it came out Uh, like I would say, I'm not gonna say yesterday because that's cheating, but I would put it in the 90s. I would say it added 10 years of life onto the film easily. Um, and whereas Mississippi Burning has lost 10 to 20 years on its audio track, just due to the degradation that that film's gone through. So I'm excited that I've seen this. It's not my favorite James Cameron film, but it's about as good as how I feel about the Avatar films, to be honest. So yeah, it's tough. I actually like most of James Cameron's work. I really want him to go completely outside of his comfort zone. I think I said this in my Avatar Way of Water review. I want him to do something that doesn't require visual effects. You know, like I just want to see what he can do, just as a director, as a storyteller. To me, that would be really interesting, or with very little visual effects. You know, like almost none. Give me a drama, a comedy, a romance with with very little action, no science fiction. Don't go underwater. You know, just give me something, and I want to see what James can do. Because he's basically only ever done this, and he's really good at it. But I just want to know: is he is he like a better version of Michael Bay? Is he all just flash and you know, show, or is there something there? So anyway, that's it. I'm gonna give The Abyss an A minus. Check this out. I bought it off the Apple Store. It has audio description, so it was actually really cheap. It was $4.99 when I got it. It was on sale, so I was like, and it's the restoration. It has audio description. The, yeah, let's do it. Um, so yeah, cool film. Glad I saw it. It's long, but it's a James Cameron film, so we knew it was going to be long. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And you can go to the audio description project at ep.acb.org. It'll let you know what else has audio description where you can watch it, and theatrically.org. That's the ADNA.org. We'll let you know more about Jedediah Barton and what else he's done. So that's it for me today. I will watch something else and see you guys on the other side.